Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to kind of provide a video testimonial. For me, it's always really I, again, as someone in recovery, I come away from each of these conversations changed and having grown spiritually. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and to be willing to share, whether it's this entire video or just a portion of it that we decide to go out with. I really just appreciate that. And so,
For me, it's a privilege to be a part of this. Has been so wonderful, and I was happy a few years ago to be a part of it
thank you so
with my
much.
son.
Thank you so much. And
So,
so, your son Josh is in the Florida exhibit. That's correct. Yeah. And
yes.
can you, first of all, just share a little something about him for anybody that might be watching this?
Sure. Josh was 30 years old when he transitioned of a accidental fentanyl overdose, and he was this great guy. He was extremely smart. He had 162 IQ. Went to law school. Extremely likable. He was just he was a beautiful guy with massive green eyes, and he was almost 6'7". So he really stood out in the crowd, not just for who he was, but visually, you couldn't miss him. Friendly, outgoing, and always made everybody feel important, always made everybody feel like they were really important in his life. And unfortunately, I think when he got tangled with drugs, I think in the beginning, I think he just, it was fun. He liked to have fun, the party guy. And I didn't, I don't think he realized he could get tangled in the web and, feel so out of control and powerless. But unfortunately, he did. And we lost him when he was, well, we didn't lose him. He passed away when he was 30 years old.
I'm so sorry. Why did you decide to submit Josh to Intellect Project?
I think the mission is so important. I was never silent. I was never silenced by his addiction. Um, in the beginning, my family, even at the funeral, they didn't know if it was right for me to get up in part of my eulogy,
Hmm.
talk about what happened to Josh.
Hmm.
And I certainly was not going to get up and just talk about what a cute little boy he was with golden curls. Um, and I felt like, you know, this should really be about what happened. I don't want people whispering, saying, was it cancer? Was it, you know,
Hmm.
no, I knew that there would be a lot of people at his funeral, which there was. It was standing room only. And I knew this was an opportunity to break the stigma. I mean, those closest to me knew, but I spoke from the heart and the head. And sometimes it's hard for your heart and your head to be on the same page, but they were about who he was, about all the wonderful things about him. And I always like to compare him to this big, huge apple pie. He was just beautiful to look at. He was sweet as can be. He was just delicious. And the addiction was really just one slice of the pie that unfortunately took him away from us. Um, but I looked at it as an opportunity to say not that I wanted to make it normal, but I wanted everyone to know it's okay to talk about it. And if they have a loved one or someone in their lives, and if they're going through it, I mean, they need support, being a family member. And just felt, that was the perfect opportunity to do so.
Well, that's one of the things that I've learned in the process of working with Barbara and Teresa is the staggering percentage. It's over 90% of individuals that I believe that have been treated for addiction. So they've actually overdosed or whatnot and shown up in a hospital or something. But over 90% of them never sought treatment. and it's all, and so much of that is that stigma and shame. And so thank you for deciding to participate in the project. I agree. I think it's incredibly important. I want to ask you about the submission process. I've talked to a lot of parents, and I know it's not easy to do that, but I'd like for you to talk about what your experience was like filling out the submission form.
I was fine with it because Florida was how long ago?
I believe it's 2020. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, though.
Okay, so it had already been 2 years since Josh passed away, and I have been speaking in rehabs, running a little kind of program, you could say, of a very honest, a mother's perspective. And so I was very used to talking about Josh, and you know, it really came natural, and the person that interviewed me was wonderful. And you know, well, you read it, so I was really able to really, if you read it, you feel like you know Josh. So it was fine. You know, I
That's great.
thought that I was really just, you know, feeling grateful to be a part of it, because I like to be a part of things that I think are important. And I feel
I'm
so
glad to,
strongly
I'm
about
glad
it.
to hear it wasn't a difficult thing for you.
No.
And I always like to mention and take the opportunity in these videos to just mention that you know, Intellight's a very small team of people, and you know, when these submissions come through, it's really Teresa, the founder, Barbara, who's like her right arm, and then whomever the artist was at the time. It was Florida. It was Teresa that I believe did the
Yes.
portrait for you, and then the narrative writer, the person that interviewed you, and that's the team. That's the team of people that you know work with you. And then as a, you know, I know myself as an artist, I can say that I make it very clear from my very first communication with people that I will make as many modifications, as many edits. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's 20 emails about the lip not being quite right.
There was one of
Yeah,
my friends who, she said, this is not him. This doesn't look like him. And she did it over again. She didn't even make a modification. She
yeah,
did a
yep,
brand new
yeah,
one.
and
And
we
it
do that.
looks beautiful now. I've seen it. It looks
Yeah,
great.
and I just love taking the opportunity to do that because you know it's so important to us that we are um, obviously accurately representing, but you know, it's really, I take it very seriously, and I will make as many edits, and then you know, obviously the parents or the loved ones get that final yes, like for both the narrative and for the portrait. And so
Right.
I like sharing that you know, for anybody that might be watching this that might be thinking about submitting for this project, that it's a small group of people that are incredibly dedicated and take
And
this very seriously.
yeah, I mean, just so passionate about what they're doing. And it was very easy for me, and I just was feeling very grateful that I could be a part of it. And I don't know if you know this, but at the Florida one, there was a mom who was going to be on a walk. Do you know about her? She
No.
went on a walk somewhere in Europe, and she took every single portrait and had it made into a patch.
Oh, I did hear
And
about
so
this.
it's Joshua's portrait on a fabric patch, and it
Wow.
says, "Tell me about Joshua." And so I cherish that patch. It's a
Wow.
patch. I have it on my backpack, and
Yeah.
people do ask me, "Tell me about Josh," and I can't
Yeah.
wait to tell them about Josh and who he was. And, you know,
That
that's how
I
we
believe.
humanize it.
Sure. I think
It
that was
wasn't,
the
yeah,
origination of the button campaign that they're
right,
now doing, where they make a button of every portrait now that says "Tell
right.
me about so and so" with a QR code on the back.
Right. But I love
That's
that,
so
you know,
cool.
Josh wasn't just, you know, something under a rock, you know.
Yeah.
He was brilliant, he was friendly, he was so loved. And it's an opportunity to tell people. And you know, anybody who's had a child that or a loved one that has passed, they want to talk about them. And
Yeah.
you know, the
No,
world
absolutely.
is, you know, they don't want to remind you that somebody has passed away because you forgot. not. And I just love the patch. I love the opportunity for someone to ask me about Josh and to
Yeah.
share Josh with them. So
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to get your perspective as well. Some of the other parents that I've asked that to, it was difficult for them to fill out the submission. You know, took multiple times coming back, and it's really emotionally draining. So it's nice to get that other perspective from you. I appreciate it. It sounds to me, I think I know the answer to this question. I'd still like to ask it. Would you recommend Intellect Project to other families? And if so,
absolutely.
yeah, we please
Imagine,
speak to
I mean, we
why.
know there's not going to be another one in Florida, but the moms that I have met since, you know, when I first heard about it, I told a lot of people about it, that would be interested, and a couple of them, you know, you might even be interviewing them, I'm not sure. But with that said, the moms that I've met since that I've talked about it, they're like, oh my gosh, I would love to be a part of that. And I'm like, sorry, I think it's only going to be once in Florida. You'll
We
have
get a
to
lot
move
of
to
that.
another state. Yes.
I get a lot of social media requests from people from, I got
Like, what are you
one
doing it
from
again? Right.
Virginia. Yeah, when is this coming back? And it's yeah, I mean, I know Teresa's trying so hard to just kind of uh from a outside, step back. What this project means to her is to try and capture, this epidemic, and put a face on this epidemic. And who
You
knows? I
know,
don't
by
know if
doing that,
she may circle back around. I have no idea. We'll see.
it's honoring all of these beautiful people, you know,
Yeah,
that we've lost. It's a
yeah,
way of honoring them, you know, so they didn't pass in vain.
yeah.
And
Well, speaking with a lot of parents, I keep hearing these really amazing stories. I'm whether it was, oh, I didn't realize that somebody that I had known so well also lost a child, and I met them at that. Was there a story for you that came out of your time in the project that you'd like to share? Something that it can be anything. What it was like to be able to go to the gallery and visit. Really, just anything. I'd love to give you that opportunity if you want.
when I first walked in, the only way I could describe, the only way I remember, you know, you never forget how something made you feel or somebody made you feel. It just took my breath away. It was so stunning.
Mm.
I mean, everything was black and white, you know, with the frames and the, you know, the ink black and the white background. Everything was black and white. And it was just stunning. And reading about, you know, each person uh, that was honored, that their family participated, made me feel like I knew each and every one of them in the room. And, you know, I have seen a positive change in 6 years of understanding, of people understanding. And if I have been judged, it's certainly been done very quietly, because I have never felt like talked about by the outside world, like what went on in her house, how'd she end up having a child like that, you know, where were the parents? I have never felt that at all. I have just felt love and embrace from my friends and family, and I have seen a change, and it's incredible when I post something on social media, the amount of interaction that goes on, and
Mm.
it really is important. This event just touched my heart, and I just was like I said before, so honored and grateful. I felt Josh was right there with me. Some of my family was there with me, which was really nice to share it. And one of the nice things is I reconnected with another mom that I hadn't seen in a few years. We had met maybe at a GRASP meeting or a COPE meeting, something like that, and invited her to Helping Parents Heal. And she's now a very dear friend. So that was really wonderful. You know, for the parents there, it's like landing in another country and we all spoke the same language. You know, there wasn't, I mean, everybody in that room understood everybody in that room. It's a unique language.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of closeness and togetherness with people that were, maybe strangers, but they didn't feel like strangers. It just felt like we were all together.
Yeah.
There was a lot of love in that room that day. A lot of
Yeah.
love.
I love that. I'm always struck by, a lot of the parents talk about just having a place to be able to go and visit their loved one, and to
Yes.
sit there, in the gallery across from their loved one, and praying and meditating, or having more time at later visits to really be able to explore. Because I
And it
know
was done so well. It was beautiful. It was
the
beautifully
Delaware,
the lighting, I mean, the
yeah,
lighting, everything in the room. It was so peaceful. Like, if I cried, it was happy tears,
for
to be a
sure.
part of it. I wasn't, it wasn't mourning grief
Mhm.
tears. It was happy tears. It was just so beautiful.
Well, who's
And
going to be
the
extremely
the
happy?
book was lovely.
Yeah, Teresa's going to be so happy to hear you say that, because that's her goal here. And we're actually in the middle of redoing the website, because the website's very dark, very somber looking, for Intolight. And I think you'll find when the new one launches, I think in the next few days, it's very bright.
I
It's
didn't
very
feel like
bright.
that room was dark. I felt like
Yeah,
that
that's,
room was illuminated
yeah, yeah,
with, so much, spirit, and it just felt so warm, and there was so much love. I
yeah,
came away with so much peace.
yeah,
Seriously, I really did. I didn't come away feeling sad. I just came away, I cherish the portrait. The portrait means the world to me. Really, she really, really captured Josh.
mm,
And the whole experience just brought me a lot of peace in my heart. And I just
congratulations.
wanted to just add one more thing. I know
Sure.
a lot of um, addiction for the person that's actually on that journey. I know there's a lot of, sadness and shame involved. And I feel like my voice now is Joshua's voice. So to
Mm,
break the stigma, I think that if we can break the stigma, what we're going to see is more support for families going through it with a loved one, more support for, people who are going through this journey. So it's my opportunity to be a voice for Josh, when he can no longer be a voice. And, I feel like had he gotten himself healthy, he would be doing this,
mm,
as you're giving back.
yeah.
So, I do it from the heart, but I also do it on behalf of Josh, because I know this is a voice for him as well.